I got to call out my man, Dan.
Did he give a dad joke that wasn't very good?
Yeah, I'm used to all that stuff with Dan over the years.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not allowed to rim shot those.
Yeah, and I love Dan. I mean, Dan is. I mean, you talk about the anchor of Fox Sports Radio. It is Dan Byer. Let's make that infinitely clear here. But Dan went down a path in an argument today. He went down a path that I was like, no. So he was talking about the relevance. He was asking Mark Medina about just how relevant the Boston Celtics are anymore.
Oh, yes, I heard them talking about this.
He brought up the point that the Lakers are still the team in the NBA, and then after that, it's the Golden State Warriors. Now, I have been following the Lakers since Elgin Baylor was still playing for the Lakers.
Mm-hmm. Don't age yourself.
Okay. And by the way, he was an amazing player. So anyway, I'm listening to Dan make this argument about, well, the Lakers are still the team of the league, but are the Celtics relevant? And I'm like, okay. The Lakers' relevance is based on one person, LeBron James. Here's the reality of the Lakers, and then I'll get to the Celtics. In the 6 years that LeBron has been on the Lakers, they have completely missed the playoffs twice. They've been eliminated in the first round of the playoffs twice. One run to the conference finals where they got swept, and then a championship in front of nobody in a bubble. That is their 6 years with LeBron. In the 5 years prior to that, they had 5 straight losing seasons, missing the playoffs every year. So in my world, I look at the championship they got in the bubble in 2020, and I say, and this is from someone that follows the Lakers, asterisk. By the way, I say the same thing of the Dodgers World Series win in 2020 as well. When you win a championship where every game is played on literally the same court, and there are no fans, and I look at the Lakers as the one team that year in the bubble that actually had something to play for after the tragic death of Kobe earlier that year. Like, they were motivated. Yeah. Most of the teams and players that went to the bubble couldn't wait to get out of the bubble. So the idea of that championship being the same as, it's not.
I think that's exactly it. It's like somebody had to win, and you did win, but it's not the same. I agree with you.
There was no parade. There was nothing like that.
Yep.
So when we talk about the relevance of the Lakers, or they're still the most relevant team, well, if you're a Laker fan, I guess they are, but no more than if you're a Cavaliers fan, they are the most relevant. I mean, in your world, whoever your team is, you think the Clippers are the most relevant because they're your team. But the idea that the world circulates, the NBA world, around the Lakers, I don't see that at all, and certainly not in comparison to the Celtics. Now, the Celtics haven't won jack. They haven't won a championship since 2008. They haven't been in the NBA final. Well, they were there a couple years against the Warriors after a long layoff from the finals. But they have been in the Eastern Conference Finals 6 of the last 8 years. So in my world, and I'm a lifelong Celtic hater, the Celtics have been far more relevant in the current NBA than the Lakers.
So I think you are making a different point than what Dan was trying to say. At least I misunderstood it, or I understood it in a different way. And I actually agree with Dan. I think the Lakers' name is the most relevant still in the NBA. Just the Lakers' name. It doesn't matter. The Lakers' name with Kobe. How long did they go without making the playoffs with Kobe at the end there?
His last year, they were 17-65.
And yet, it didn't matter. The Lakers' name itself still has a lot of weight.
Is that only because we are here in Southern California? I mean, we got listeners all over the country, all over the world out there, and they're like, no. When I think NBA, I think Boston Celtics.
I definitely don't think Boston Celtics. I think There are other teams like the Golden State Warriors that obviously are a big part of the NBA with what they've done the last couple of years. But I think it's bigger than that. It's like the brand. And we could talk, Cowboys are a perfect example. Cowboys, despite the fact that they haven't won in how long, their name still has a lot of weight when it comes to the NFL. And I think that's the relationship that Dan was trying to
And you
to
don't
compare.
think the Celtics have that? Look, here's something I would say about relevance in a franchise. When we talk about history and, like this is the argument with Notre Dame football, right? I mean, when you define college football, the one school in the history of college football whose name has dominated more than Ohio State, more than Alabama, more than USC is Notre Dame football. Notre Dame put college football on the national map a long time ago with Newt Rockne and everything else. But when I think about the Celtics dominance, I think Red Auerbach. When I think of the Lakers' dominance, I think of Dr. Jerry Buss. When I think of Yankees' dominance, I think of George Steinbrenner. And none of these franchises have been the same since that person, Red Auerbach, Jerry Buss, and George Steinbrenner have been gone. None of those franchises have the same cachet they had when those men were in charge.
So you said last week you just like dominance.
I do.
You like dominance, right?
I would prefer my team dominant, but I think a dominant team or dominant individual in an individual sport is good for a sport.
Right. So what you just listed, the people that put those teams on the map, I don't disagree that those teams are at the same level that they were at that point, in their history. But still, there may be other teams we are discussing alongside the Lakers. And I'm saying this as a Clippers fan. The Laker name is still probably the most talked about. Does it have to do with LeBron? Probably a little bit, Well,
I mean, if LeBron was playing for another team.
Yeah, we would be talking about that team. But I still think the Lakers name
Okay,
would
no one
still
was
be.
talking about the Lakers between the time Kobe retired and they signed LeBron. Nobody.
Yeah.
They were a bad team. They weren't making the playoffs. Luke Walton was coach. I mean, no one was talking about the Lakers.
We weren't talking about them, but it didn't mean that the Laker name wasn't what it is.
But that's based on history, which is the
Right,
same thing.
yes.
The Celtics and the look at a lot is going to be made of the Celtics. If they win the championship, they will break the tie they have with the Lakers in winning their 18th championship. We've had two teams dominate the history of this league. Dominate. The Celtics and the Lakers. But if you're going to dismiss the Celtics because, they really haven't won anything recently, what have the Lakers won? Their last legitimate championship, and I was there, Game 7 out at Staples Center in one of the ugliest games I've ever seen in my life. Kobe was 6 of 24 shooting in that
care.
Game 7. He got a lot of rebounds. It didn't matter. They won that game. That's where it ended to me. I'm sorry. I know that, a Laker fan say a championship's a championship. 2020 is not the same as any other championship they won. It's just not.
No, it's not. But they won. Somebody had to win.
Yes, Chris?
I was going to say, I do want to correct Steve on one thing. He did say that there was a period where they did. What were the years you say they didn't matter at all?
Between Kobe and LeBron.
Yeah.
Okay, disagree on there in that we did get probably a good summer out of LeVar Ball going after Luke Walton.
Okay. Yeah, the Lonzo Ball when Magic drafted him over Jason Tatum, by the way, and insisted that his name was going to be up there on the wall with all the other Laker legends. How'd that work out?
So far, not so good.
Not so good. But, the bottom line to me is this. The Celtics and the Lakers, in my opinion, having followed the history of this league, I almost date to the beginning of this league. But, they are on equal ground. The Lakers and Celtics have both won 17 championships. By the way, 5 of the Lakers championships were with the Minneapolis Lakers, not the LA Lakers. But if you're going to say that the Celtics have lost relevance, then you have to say the Lakers have lost relevance. To me, the Celtics obviously have been a much better team over the last several years. They've had deeper runs in the playoffs than the Lakers have had in recent years. And the only reason that anyone talks about the Lakers is, how much longer can LeBron keep this going? And it's pretty much, that's what we talk about.
So I agree with you that maybe they've both lost relevance because there's been other teams that have been fun and exciting, other players to watch.
Yeah, but we're getting these one and
right,
done.
but
Milwaukee was one and done. I mean,
sure, but you're basing this on the history, right? Which there's nothing wrong with that. I think we're just talking in general, like the Laker name is still probably the most popular basketball name
is
right
it?
now.
Is it?
I think so.